2025 might just be the year some of your favorite restaurant chains vanish for good. With rising costs, changing customer habits, and stiff competition, even the biggest names in the food industry are struggling to stay afloat. From once-packed diners to fast food giants losing their flavor with the public, here are the 20 big restaurant chains that may not survive 2025. 1. Buca di Beppo. Buca di Beppo used to be the place you would drag your whole family for a boisterous Italian feast served on giant platters, where every wall was decked out in loud retro Italian kitsch, and Christmas lights were a year-round thing. It was fun, it was loud, and the portions were massive, exactly what you wanted for a casual night out with a crowd. But by 2024, this once vibrant chain was struggling to keep the sauce simmering. In August 2024, Buca di Beppo filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, weighed down by almost $39 million in debt and owing over $3 million to current and former employees. That's a hefty bill no one wants to pay, but it tells the story of a business that couldn't quite keep up with the times. The chain shuttered 18 locations that year, with a painful 12 closings happening just in July. The story goes back to the early 90s when Buca di Beppo was born out of Minneapolis, offering a cheeky, caricature-style take on the classic Italian red sauce joint. People love the family-style meals and the playful, over-the-top atmosphere. Think red and white checkered tablecloths, vintage Italian photos, and enough garlic bread to fill a small army. But somewhere along the way, a change in management saw the fun dialed back. Decor became more muted, corners were cut in the kitchen, and the chain started to lose what made it special. In 2008, Planet Hollywood scooped up Buca di Beppo, hoping to inject some life into the brand. Instead, the restaurant stumbled as the casual dining landscape shifted dramatically. The post-COVID era hit the chain hard, with rising food prices, labor shortages, and a tough crowd that started leaning toward fast casual and more modern dining concepts. Buca's attempts to update its menu and image just didn't catch on the way they hoped, leaving loyal customers drifting away. Now, as part of their bankruptcy restructuring, Buca di Beppo is focusing on tightening operations and closing underperforming restaurants. They are trying to figure out how to win customers back with fresh marketing ideas and a redefined brand, but the road ahead is rocky. The chain's future depends on whether it can bring back that lively, no-nonsense Italian dining vibe in a world that's constantly changing. 2. Hardee's. Hardee's has long been the go-to spot for fans of thick, juicy, charbroiled burgers and hearty, no-frills fast food. For decades, it carved out a loyal following, especially in the Midwest and South, with staples like the famous thick burger holding their own against big-name rivals. But 2025 has been a rough year for the chain, marked by the quiet closing of several locations and a struggle to keep up with a rapidly changing fast food scene. In Illinois alone, longtime Hardee's fans watched as restaurants in Champaign, Springfield, Chatham, Verdon, and Monticello shut their doors. Springfield's spot was especially symbolic. It had been around since 1984, a nostalgic landmark for locals craving that signature charbroiled flavor. Meanwhile, in Delaware, the Hardee's in Bear also closed, showing that this slowdown isn't isolated to one region. What's behind these closures? It's a mix of shifting tastes, rising competition, and operational challenges. The fast food world today is not what it was even 5 years ago. Consumers are more health-conscious, demanding fresh and diverse menu choices rather than just burgers and fries. Chains like Chick-fil-A, Shake Shack, and even newer players offering plant-based options have grabbed customer attention. Hardee's classic lineup, while beloved, hasn't always kept pace with these evolving preferences. Add to that the problem of aging restaurant designs and a lag in adopting modern tech like seamless digital ordering and delivery partnerships, and you've got a recipe for shrinking foot traffic. Hardee's has had to face the fact that its old-school approach just isn't enough anymore. But all is not lost. The brand is rolling up its sleeves and planning a makeover. Hardee's is reviewing its entire business model, aiming to modernize locations and spruce up the look and feel of its restaurants to attract a younger crowd. There's talk of menu updates to include healthier options alongside the classics, hoping to lure back customers who might have wandered off. And digital ordering and delivery, those are getting major attention with efforts underway to make grabbing a Hardee's burger as easy as a tap on your phone. It's a tough climb, but Hardee's is betting that with some fresh moves and a nod to changing times, it can hold on to its spot in a crowded, competitive fast food world. 3. Red Lobster. Red Lobster, once the undeniable king of affordable seafood dining in America, has been swimming against some serious currents lately. In May 2024, the chain dropped a bombshell. It filed for Chapter 11, bankruptcy protection, weighed down by over a staggering $1 billion in debt. The financial strain forced the company to close 93 of its restaurants in one swift move, followed by another 23 closures in August the same year. That's a lot of empty tables and quiet dining rooms where the smell of buttery lobster once ruled. Red Lobster's struggles aren't just about numbers. They are also about missteps that became costly lessons. Remember the endless crab deal back in 2003? What was supposed to be a genius marketing stunt backfired hard, costing the chain a whopping $3.3 million in less than 2 months. Fast forward 20 years, and the endless shrimp promotion in 2023 drained an even more shocking $11 million. These seafood freebies might have brought in crowds initially, but they slammed the restaurant's bottom line and reputation. Things didn't get easier under the ownership of Thai Union, a giant in the seafood industry that took over in 2018. Their aggressive cost-cutting moves stripped Red Lobster of some of its charm and quality, alienating loyal customers who'd grown tired of smaller portions and less attentive service. By early 2024, Thai Union decided enough was enough and walked away from Red Lobster in a deal that wiped out over $500 million of debt. Emerging from bankruptcy under new ownership came with a fresh injection of $60 million and a new CEO, Damola Adamolekun, who is eager to breathe life back into the crustacean empire. Adamolekun's plan? Lean into nostalgia, the warm, buttery, indulgent memories that made Red Lobster a household name, while overhauling the dining experience. That means brighter, more inviting restaurant designs, revamped menus with exciting new seafood dishes, and a strong push into digital platforms to keep up with today's tech-savvy customers. Plus, the pandemic hit the casual dining scene hard, and Red Lobster was no exception. The road ahead is tough, but with smart moves, a bit of old-school magic, and a sharper focus on customers, Red Lobster hopes to claw its way back to the top. 4. M.O.D. Pizza. Seattle-based M.O.D. Pizza, founded in 2008, expanded rapidly to over 500 locations. However, in July 2024, the chain faced financial difficulties and was suspected of contemplating bankruptcy. M.O.D. Pizza closed 44 locations in 2024 and was acquired by Elite Restaurant Group. Despite offering customizable pizzas and salads, the chain's rapid growth outpaced demand. Elite Restaurant Group plans to refresh M.O.D. Pizza's branding and customer experience, but challenges remain. The fast casual pizza segment has become increasingly saturated, with numerous competitors offering similar build-your-own pizza concepts. M.O.D. Pizza's rapid expansion led to operational challenges, including inconsistent customer experiences and difficulties in maintaining quality standards across locations. Additionally, rising labor and food costs have pressured profit margins. To address these issues, M.O.D. Pizza is focusing on streamlining operations, enhancing employee training programs, and refining its menu offerings. The company is also investing in technology to improve order accuracy and speed. By concentrating on core markets and optimizing its business model, M.O.D. Pizza aims to stabilize its operations and achieve sustainable growth. 5. Noodles & Company. Noodles & Company has long been a go-to spot for anyone craving a little global noodle magic, from classic spaghetti and meatballs to spicy pad thai and zesty Japanese udon. But lately, the noodle chain has been stirring the pot for all the wrong reasons. In recent announcements, the company revealed plans to close around 20 underperforming locations that have collectively lost a cool $2 million. While the specific restaurants on the chopping block haven't been named, this move signals a serious effort to trim the fat and focus on what's actually working. The noodle game is crowded, and Noodles & Company has struggled to carve out a unique identity in this fast casual frenzy. Sure, the menu is broad and covers a tasty international spread, which theoretically should attract all kinds of diners. But here's the catch. Trying to please everyone sometimes means pleasing no one. The brand hasn't quite nailed a signature style or flavor that makes it instantly recognizable or keeps customers coming back regularly. Throw in a few operational hiccups, like inconsistent food quality and spotty customer service, and it's clear why some locations have been underperforming. The pandemic didn't help either. Foot traffic slowed, takeout competition heated up, and suddenly those noodle bowls had a lot more empty seats to compete against. So what's Noodles & Company cooking up next? The chain is shaking things up by focusing on a tighter, more streamlined menu that highlights crowd favorites and simplifies the kitchen's job. Less confusion behind the scenes, better quality on the plate. They are also doubling down on tech, investing in digital ordering platforms and mobile apps that make getting your noodle fix faster and easier than ever before. Beyond just tech and menu tweaks, Noodles & Company wants to create a more consistent experience across all its locations, because nobody likes a surprise when it comes to their food, unless it's a good one. By improving service, enhancing flavors, and offering solid value, they are hoping to win back customers and boost repeat visits. 6. Applebee's. Applebee's used to be the place where you could roll into a booth with your coworkers for half-priced appetizers and $1 margaritas after a long Monday. But these days, the neighborhood grill isn't exactly thriving in its own neighborhood. The chain has been quietly shrinking while trying desperately to cling to relevance. Back in 2023, Applebee's closed 46 locations and managed to open just 10. That's like losing a football team and only replacing it with a dodgeball squad. Not great. The downsizing train kept on rolling into 2024, when its parent company, Dine Brands Global, announced they were closing another 25 to 35 restaurants. It's not hard to see why. Applebee's has been caught in a weird in-between space. Too casual for serious dining, but too sit-down for fast food folks who want to grab and go. And let's talk about their staffing problems. At one point, Applebee's was literally giving away free appetizers to anyone 18 or older who applied for a job during National Hiring Day. Nothing says we're in trouble like trying to lure in workers with mozzarella sticks. Even more telling is the fact that corporate had to bribe potential employees during a nationwide hiring crisis that's hit the service industry hard. Still, Applebee's isn't throwing in the towel just yet. The big pitch from Dine Brands these days is a tag team solution. Combine Applebee's with IHOP. You heard that right. Pancakes and boneless wings under one roof. They are testing out combo stores where you could, in theory, start your day with a Rooty Tooty fresh and fruity and end it with a triple bacon burger. It's a bold move, like if the Cheesecake Factory married Waffle House and opened a drive-thru. But here's the thing. Even IHOP isn't exactly dominating the breakfast world. The idea that combining two struggling brands might somehow produce a winner feels a little like taping two sinking ships together and hoping they float. That said, stranger things have worked in fast food. Taco Bell and KFC are basically one building now. Why not give it a shot? Still, it's clear Applebee's is fighting to avoid becoming just another memory in the suburban strip mall graveyard. 7. Denny's. Denny's, the place that proudly promised pancakes at 3 a.m. and bacon with everything, is starting to look more like a nostalgia trip than a thriving business. If you have ever ended up in a Denny's after a late-night road trip, college cram session, or questionable life choice, you know what kind of comfort chaos this diner serves up. But lately, even that familiar yellow sign isn't glowing as brightly. In October 2024, Denny's dropped a pretty heavy announcement. They are planning to shut down 150 underperforming locations by the end of 2025. That's about 10% of all Denny's in the U.S. Poof, gone. That's a lot fewer Grand Slams being served. What's behind the mass exit? Well, for starters, same-store sales have been dropping. People's dining habits have changed a lot. We've shifted from, let's go out for an endless breakfast with a side of fries at midnight, to I'll just DoorDash a grain bowl and eat it on my couch. The appeal of a sit-down diner with 100-plus items on the menu isn't hitting like it used to. So Denny's made some cuts, not just to locations, but also to the menu. That famous book-sized menu? It's been chopped from 97 items to just 46, which frankly still feels like a lot when half of us order the same moons over my hammy every time anyway. And yes, the 24/7 vibe is starting to dim. Some locations are cutting back on round-the-clock service because, let's face it, keeping a full staff around the clock in 2025 is almost as rare as getting a hot coffee refill without asking. To be fair, Denny's is trying. They are putting some serious money into refreshing older locations and retraining staff. They are rethinking their leases and leaning into local marketing. But whether that's enough to draw people back in is a big question mark. Because no matter how many renovations they do, people need to want to eat there. And if all you see is an empty parking lot and a few flickering fluorescent lights, that might be a hard sell. 8. Rubio's Coastal Grill. Rubio's Coastal Grill had a dream: bring beachy Baja vibes and fish tacos to the fast casual crowd. And for a while, it totally worked. You would walk in, hear a little surf rock, and feel like you were just steps away from the Pacific, except you were actually in a suburban strip mall 3 hours from the nearest wave. Still, those grilled mahi-mahi tacos hit the spot. But in June 2024, that good vibe took a major nosedive. Rubio filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Again, that's right, this is round 2 for the burrito slinging brand, following its first bankruptcy in 2020 during the COVID-era restaurant bloodbath. This time, though, the obstacles were more slow burn than a sudden storm. Let's talk about the perfect storm that hit Rubio's: rising costs, tanking foot traffic, and California's minimum wage hikes. That combo turned their business model into quicksand. Even the people who loved Rubio's just weren't showing up anymore. With so many folks still working from home, the lunch rush crowd they relied on, office workers in slacks looking for something fresh, just didn't come back in the same numbers. In what felt like a gut punch to taco lovers across the West Coast, Rubio's suddenly shut down 48 California locations overnight. No farewell, no thanks for all the tacos, just paper on the windows and stunned regulars. That left only 86 restaurants still standing in California, Arizona, and Nevada, a shadow of its former footprint. And here's the kicker: Rubio's already tried to reinvent itself. Remember the 2014 rebranding? The sleek new look, the Rubio's Coastal Grill name, and all that avocado-forward marketing? It was an honest attempt to swim upstream in a sea of trendy, fast casual spots, but the tide didn't exactly turn. The 2024 bankruptcy filing is now a Hail Mary pass. Rubio's is hoping for a new investor to swoop in and rescue the brand from complete wipeout. For now, it's business as usual at the remaining locations, at least until they figure out if they're headed for a new chapter or just the final page. 9. World of Beer. Once the toast of the tavern-style dining trend, World of Beer has found itself stuck in a serious hangover. If you ever stepped into one of their locations in the mid-2010s, you probably remember being overwhelmed by an encyclopedic beer list and menus stacked with pub grub made to pair with whatever craft brew you just mispronounced. It was a vibe, but in 2024, that vibe started to fizzle. In August 2024, World of Beer filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. The reasons? Oh, just a triple threat of rising interest rates, escalating rent prices, ballooning operating costs, and a crowd that just isn't showing up like they used to. It's not that people don't like beer anymore, it's that people have gotten pickier about where, when, and how much they will spend on it. And let's face it, when a pint of IPA costs $10 and you're still hungry after those 14 other shareables, people start making other plans. World of Beer's footprint shrank fast. 14 locations closed over the year before the bankruptcy filing, leaving only 33 still tapping kegs across the country. And that's a far cry from their peak when the brand was rapidly expanding through franchise deals and earning buzz as the go-to destination for beer nerds and casual drinkers alike. You could even say they were one of the first spots to make craft beer feel mainstream. The company did manage to emerge from bankruptcy in December 2024 with a plan in hand. It's talking about new franchise openings and reviving the brand. But let's be honest, That's easier said than done in a world where people now expect elevated pub food, premium vibes, and Instagram-worthy decor without the premium price tag. World of Beer also faces some steep competition. Think of every trendy gastropub, microbrewery, and even chain like Yard House, all pushing into the same market with better menus, cooler lighting, and arguably better playlists. Plus, the whole craft beer as a personality thing doesn't carry the same cachet it did in 2012. Can the world of beer reinvent itself and keep pouring through 2025? Maybe, but if they want to stay on tap, they will need more than a beer menu and a couple of pretzel bites to win us over again. 10. Pizza Hut. Remember when Pizza Hut was the undisputed king of the pizza world? Back in the day, if you wanted a cheesy, saucy pie delivered straight to your door, or a night out with that iconic red roof over your head, Pizza Hut was the go-to. But fast forward to 2025 and the brand is facing a serious crust crisis. Several Pizza Hut locations shut down in 2025, hitting communities that thought their favorite pizza joint was untouchable. The reason? EYM Group, one of the largest franchise operators for Pizza Hut, filed for bankruptcy. When one of your biggest franchisees goes under, it's not just a hiccup. It sends shockwaves through the whole chain. The closures have left gaps on the pizza map in various regions, especially in smaller towns and suburbs where Pizza Hut was often the only game in town for a sit-down slice. Fans are left wondering if they will have to settle for a less cheesy, less nostalgic pie, or make the trek to a competitor like Domino's or Papa John's. The challenge Pizza Hut faces isn't just bankruptcy filings and closed stores, it's the pizza game itself changing. The delivery and takeout market has exploded in the last decade, with third-party apps like Uber Eats and DoorDash shaking up the way people get their pies. Meanwhile, competitors have doubled down on faster delivery, easier online ordering, and more exciting menu options, making it harder for Pizza Hut's older model to keep pace. Even the classic dine-in experience feels less relevant when so many consumers want pizza on their couch, not at a red-roofed booth. And though Pizza Hut has tried to adapt by revamping its menu and tech offerings, it's still playing catch-up in a race that never seems to slow down. 11. Sticky's Finger Joint. Sticky's Finger Joint strutted onto the New York City food scene in 2012 with a clear mission: serve chicken fingers, but make them cool. And not just any chicken fingers. These were hand-breaded, crispy on the outside, juicy on the inside, and came with a wild variety of dipping sauces that ranged from sweet to spicy to just plain weird, in a good way. It was fast food for people who wanted something a little more fun and a little more Instagram-worthy. New Yorkers loved it. The idea was fresh, the branding was quirky, and the sauces were conversation starters. Before long, Sticky's was expanding beyond Manhattan, popping up in places like New Jersey and Philadelphia. For a while, it looked like the chicken finger empire was just getting started, but then reality hit hard. The Philadelphia location didn't last long, just 5 months. To be exact, customers there didn't seem as excited about paying extra for fancy sauce, and the foot traffic wasn't what the owners expected. Around the same time, plans to franchise the brand fell flat. The buzz that had fueled their early success started to wear off. And then came the pandemic. Like many other fast casual spots that relied heavily on office workers and city crowds, Sticky's suddenly found itself in empty neighborhoods. With people working from home and downtown streets quieter than ever, the once busy lunch lines disappeared. Trying to make up for lost revenue, the company made a bold move. It raised its prices. Unfortunately, this didn't go over well with customers who were already watching their wallets. What used to feel like a fun splurge now felt overpriced, and foot traffic dropped even more. To make matters worse, Sticky's found itself tangled in legal troubles. There was a big lawsuit, over $600,000, related to a broken lease. On top of that, they got into a sticky situation with a barbecue chain called Sticky Fingers, which led to a trademark battle. All of this legal drama drained their finances even more. By April 2024, Sticky's officially filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Locations across New York and New Jersey started closing, one after another. From a once promising brand with big plans, Sticky's had shrunk down to just 10 remaining locations. It's a tough break for a restaurant that started with so much personality and potential. Whether Sticky's can bounce back, or if it will become just another cautionary tale of the fast casual boom remains to be seen. But for now, it's clear, even chicken fingers with cool sauces aren't bulletproof in a shifting food economy. 12. Hooters. Hooters used to be that one place where wings, beer, and a very memorable atmosphere came together for a certain kind of night out. Launched in the 1980s, it built its brand around sports, cold drinks, and a crew of servers in bright orange shorts. For decades, it was a go-to spot for guys' nights, after-work beers, and big game days. But lately, things aren't looking so spicy behind the scenes. In 2024, Hooters quietly closed the doors on dozens of its restaurants across the country. That's not just a few underperforming spots, it's more like a slow vanishing act. At least 44 locations shut down across 14 different states. One day they were there, serving wings with curly fries. The next, paper signs on the windows and locked doors. The official reason? Rising costs. Food prices shot up. Labor costs didn't help either. And suddenly, the math just wasn't mathing anymore. But the trouble didn't start yesterday. Hooters has been losing ground for a while. Since 2018, the total number of restaurants has dropped by about 12%. It turns out that relying on nostalgia and a specific theme just doesn't cut it when customer tastes are changing fast. These days, people are leaning more toward casual dining spots that focus on flavor, inclusive vibes, and less gimmick. Plus, let's not forget the competition. Rivals like Twin Peaks, basically Hooters' younger cousin with more wood paneling, are swooping in and grabbing the attention. Now, here's where things take a turn you probably didn't see coming. Hulk Hogan is getting in on the action. Yes, that Hulk Hogan. The wrestling legend behind the mustache and the headband wants to scoop up the Hooters name through his beer brand, Real American Beer. But before you imagine him flipping wings in the kitchen, hold on. He's not trying to run the restaurants. Instead, he wants to buy the branding rights. That means the Hooters name and logo, so he can slap them on drinks, snacks, and merch. Think Hooters branded beer or chips, not chicken wings, served at a table. Hogan's team is reportedly preparing an all-cash offer, hoping to get a deal approved by the bankruptcy overseers. Because, yep, Hooters is also working with the law firm Ropes & Gray to prepare for Chapter 11 bankruptcy. That means a full financial overhaul is on the horizon. So yes, Hooters isn't totally going away, but it's definitely shrinking, and it's hard to say what will be left when the dust settles. One thing's for sure, if Hulk Hogan ends up owning the Hooters name, the next time you see that owl logo, it might not be on a restaurant. It might be on a six-pack. 13. Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel, the Southern-themed restaurant chain, has also felt the strain. In the spring of 2024, the company closed 4 locations, 2 in California, 1 in Oregon, and another in South Carolina. The closures were attributed to a downward trend in customer visits, with leadership citing weak marketing, a gap in guest experience, and cost-conscious consumers as potential reasons. Despite its traditional comfort food offerings and nostalgic gift shops, Cracker Barrel is grappling with the challenges of a changing dining landscape. 14. Roti. The Mediterranean fast casual chain filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection in the summer of 2024. Founded in 2006, Roti aimed to bring healthy, customizable bowls, salads, and pitas to the fast casual market. However, the pandemic severely impacted the chain, especially since half of its locations were in downtown business districts that saw reduced foot traffic due to remote work. By 2023, Roti had closed nearly half of its locations, and system sales declined by 12% to $35.6 million. The company is now seeking new investors or purchasers to reorganize its finances while keeping its remaining locations in Chicago, Minneapolis, and Washington, D.C. operational. 15. White Castle. White Castle, the century-old slider chain, has not been immune to the industry's challenges. In early 2024, the company closed its Chicago location at 79th Street and W. Pulaski Road. Additionally, White Castle shut down a distribution center in Kentucky and a meat processing plant in Indiana, consolidating operations to other centers. While the company has announced plans to develop in Arizona and Florida, It is also assessing closures among 70 of its other locations. With 345 locations across 13 states, White Castle is navigating the complexities of maintaining its legacy while adapting to modern demands. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on updates like this.